Imagine, it's a couple of years ago, the summer between 7th and 8th grade. You're tan from lying out next to your rock-lined pool, you've got on your new juicy sets, and your mind's on your crush, the boy who goes to that other prep school whose name we won't mention and who folds Abercrombie jeans at the mall. You're eating your Cocoa Krispies just how you like them, doused in skim milk, and you see the girl's face on the side of the milk carton, missing. She's cute, probably cuter than you, and has a feisty look in her eyes. You think, maybe she also likes soggy Cocoa Krispies too. And you bet she'd think Abercrombie boy was a hottie as well. You wonder how someone so much like you went missing. You thought only girls who entered beauty pageants ended up on the sides of milk cartons. Well, think again. The PLL books are a saga, to say the least. And I read them all last year and I just knew I had to make a video about them because I loved Mike's video about the PLL show so much that I just had to do something like that of my own. I don't know how long this video is going to be or how many of the books I'm going to be able to fit into one part, but I'm going to try. And before we start, there's some things about the books that you need to know. They're set in the early 2000s. They happen a good 10 years historically before the show happens. The show and the books are very different. The characters and the first season maybe are a bit similar, but the direction that the books go and the direction that the show goes in are completely two different worlds. And I'm going to get into where those differences lie a little bit more, but pretty much after the first book, everything is different. The show and the books are a different universe. Probably the biggest difference between the show and the books is that the girls are a lot closer in the show. They're pretty much best friends. They spend all their time together. They're super close. But in the books, they're not that close. They each have their own things going on, and they were close when they were friends with Allison, but after she disappeared, they're not that close anymore. And that makes a huge difference in the dynamics and the storylines of the book. Without further ado, let me introduce you guys to the characters. Now, the characters have the same names as the show, but they are very different people. They have very different personalities. Sometimes they have different family members, sometimes they have different backgrounds, and their relationships to each other are different, and they also look different. And I think it's really difficult to separate because when you picture Aria Montgomery, you're going to picture Lucy Hale. So I actually made some little drawings of each of the characters to kind of show you how they look in my mind's eye so that you know what I'm talking about when I describe this character to you. The books were kind of in a pre-social media era, so there's not that much fan art and everything that I could have used. And I went off the girls' physical descriptions in the books as much as I could when drawing these. Now, before I show you these, I want to tell you that my artistic talent is limited at best, and I tried my best, but this is basically just to give you an idea of who I'm talking about, and also so that you can separate the actress and the book character in your mind. Let's start off with the first character I drew, who was Emily Fields. Now, Emily in the show is played by Shay Mitchell, but in the books, Emily looks kind of like this. She's ginger, she's very obedient, she has a really strict family, and in the show, Emily doesn't have any siblings, but in the books, Emily has 3 older siblings. She's the youngest of 4. They're all talented swimmers, and all of them have swim scholarships to university, so she has that pressure lying on her because her family cannot afford college without that. And I drew her kind of having freckles because she spends a lot of time outside in the sun. I drew her lighter red hair. I gave her a Rosewood Swim t-shirt and a swimming themed necklace, and also half of a best friend's necklace. I wonder who's wearing the other half, but that's book Emily. And as I introduce you to all the characters, I'm going to put them on the wall behind me. It might be a bit far away, but you'll see. It's basically just to keep track of everyone's storylines. Also, the girls in the show, we here and there hear about their parents' jobs and stuff, but Emily is the least financially secure out of all of them. I'll talk about the setting a little bit more, but the hierarchy of wealth, maybe that's how I'll go. So Emily is the least financially stable out of the 4 girls. We go from comfortable to uber wealthy. So next up is Aria. Aria looks like this. Her drawing, I think, is the worst because I had to draw her. This is my 4th time drawing her. I thought Allison would be the hardest to draw, but I actually drew her in one go. Spencer I had to do twice because the first time I drew her, she kind of ended up looking like Gigi Hadid. And Aria I drew thrice because I just don't have a super clear picture of her in my head. But this is kind of what I would think of her to look like. Now, in the show, she's very petite, but in the books, she's super tall, super skinny, has straight black hair and blue eyes, And she's a bit kooky, like she's wearing a feather earring, she has like a bunch of necklaces on and a scarf, and she loves vintage, she loves thrifting. Arya's dad is a professor and her mom works part-time at an art gallery, so they're the next most financially comfortable. She has a younger brother, Mike, same as the show. Spencer is blonde with green eyes in the books. She is, I think they showed her to be quite well off in the show as well, but in the books she's like old money, like 20-bedroom house, like private jet rich, like they take a private jet when they fly to Florida for winter break. So she's on a different level of wealth, and she's old money, she's very Ivy League. She has a sister Melissa. Her parents are both lawyers, but I don't think her mom practices anymore in the books. In the show she does. And yeah, I drew her with some bags under her eyes from all that pressure she's under, and a fat tennis necklace on. So, and then we have Hannah. Hannah is a brunette in the books. She is Jewish as well. I think she's the only Jewish character out of all the girls. She is also pretty wealthy. She's not as wealthy as Spencer, but her mom works in like a very high-powered job and is way less involved in her life. So she's kind of on her own a lot, spending a lot of money, shopping. She has a shoplifting habit. I drew her wearing a lot of necklaces and jewelry, and I had given her a little nose piercing, but then I was like, maybe that's a little too edgy. And then we have Miss Galactic Level 10 Threat herself, Alison De Laurentiis. This is how I drew her. Notice she looks very similar to one of the other characters. I wonder which one. But she's described as having big blue eyes, pouty lips, a heart-shaped face, wavy blonde hair, and she is wearing the other half of Emily's best friend necklace. So that's Alison. I just try to make her as like cute girl coded as possible. I was worried about drawing her at first because her appearance changes a lot throughout the show and she kind of takes on different forms, but I decided to draw her as the girls would remember their friend Allison, which is like this cute girl in middle school. So that's what I decided to portray her as, because that's part of what makes these books so unbelievable for the characters, because you're picturing this person, you know, going through all the disappearance, the murder and everything. So that's our main 5 girls. I just want to give you guys a bit of a character description about each of them. I thought I'd give you 3 words to describe each of them. So Miss Emily here, I would describe her as anxious, obedient, and loyal. She's pretty similar to the show at first. So that's how I would describe her. Arya, I would describe her as impulsive. She gets ahead of herself a lot, and imaginative. She's a big daydreamer, very into art, very into history, very into English literature, that kind of thing. And Alison, I would describe her, maybe I'll save the 3 words for her to the end, because her character is really fluid throughout the book. So I'll use 3 words to describe her at the end. Remind me if I forget. But I would describe Spencer with 3 words as definitely spoiled. She is a lot more humble in the show than she is in the book. She's definitely is a bit of a spoiled rich girl in the book, so a little spoiled. Intelligent. I don't know if there's a word for it, but she kind of tends to victimize herself. I know these adjectives are all negative and they make it look like I don't like her, but I love all the girls. I love all the characters. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just trying to give you an overview of their behaviors. And then Hannah, I would describe as preoccupied, cautious, also anxious, I think. Yeah. She's very anxious. She's very insecure in her relationships. Like every time she gets a boyfriend, she feels like she has to do these crazy things to keep him, and it stems from how Alison made her feel. So it's not her fault, but it is a character trait that she has developed over the years. Now it's time to start with book 1, which is Pretty Little Liars. I think it came out in 2003 or 2006, something like that, like before I could read, or when I was born. But let's start there. My head's going to be blocking one of the characters at all times, but you're just going to have to deal with that, I fear. Let's begin, shall we? I have my notes. The first events of the book are the end of 7th grade sleepover. This is the catalyst for everything that happens. This is the night that Alison disappears and all the girls' friendships and lives are changed forever. This is the pilot, so to speak. The 5 girls, Emily, Arya, Alison, Spencer, and Hannah, all are having a sleepover. It's the last day of 7th grade, And earlier in the day, they had school. And then after school, Allison was like, I'll see you guys for the sleepover. But Allison is the cool, popular girl. So she's like, I'm gonna go hang out with my older, cool friends. And I'll meet you guys for the sleepover. So all the girls are already a little bit like, why didn't you invite us? Like, she has other friends. They're all a bit insecure in their friendships. But then they meet up at Spencer's house. Her house has like a barn on the property, like a guest apartment, so they're gonna have the sleepover there. How they meet up is also kind of an indicator of the characters. So when the book opens, Arya's lying on Allison's lawn smelling the grass. Emily gets dropped off in her mom's Volvo. Hannah gets dropped off in her mom's Mercedes, and Spencer just walks over because she and Allison are neighbors. This is really important. These two are next door neighbors and they share like a backyard kind of. You can just walk really easily from their house to the other house. Then we find out a little bit about how they become friends. So Allison was a super popular, super beautiful, like witty, charming, funny girl. And everyone loved her. Everyone wanted to be her. The boys wanted to be with her. And one day at a charity drive, she just randomly started talking to these 4 girls who also happened to be there. And they've been friends ever since. Allie is described by the girls as beautiful, smart, popular, and witty. And the girls are kind of dazzled by Allie. By being friends with Allie, they all become cool now, and they all have invites, and they all like are this like untouchable group of girls because of her. Now, as they're at Allie's house, Allie and Spencer's houses are next to each other, but across the street from them on a cul-de-sac lives a girl named Mona Vanderwall. Mona is also, I know what you're picturing, but it's not the same girl. This Mona has like white blonde hair and blue eyes, and she's painfully thin. But back then, now, I've drawn the girls kind of at, these girls are like 15, 16, but Allie is 13 because that's the last time they saw her. This time, all the girls are 12, 13, right? The end of 7th grade. Mona is one of the dorky loser girls who they don't want to hang out with. And she's kind of with her 2 friends who are also dorky, lame losers who the girls are like, ugh, like, I don't want to hang out with them. They come over to Allie's house and they're like, oh, do you guys want to like watch a show together? And the girls all are like, ew, no. And then Allie's like, I'm so sorry, but we're having a sleepover tonight, so not tonight. And then the girls are like, okay. And then Mona and her friends leave. So immediately there's a social hierarchy introduced. Mona is at the bottom of the totem pole. She's dorky. She really wants to be friends with the girls. She really wants to hang out, but the girls are up here with Allison now, so they're too cool for Mona. As the girls head over to Spencer's barn for the sleepover, Allie mentions that there's construction workers working at her house right now because her parents are building a gazebo in the backyard to host parties at. So she just mentions that like, oh, the workers were at my house again today. And then Emily immediately gets super defensive and says like, oh, were they making like comments to you again? Because Allie had mentioned that the construction workers would like make remarks about her clothes or whatever as she walked past. So Emily is immediately super protective and she's like, did they make you feel uncomfortable? And Allie's like, easy, killer. Killer is like what the girls call Emily. At this time, they all think it's funny. Like, Emily's so protective. Emily's so like, she loves Allison, whatever. So ease up. It's fine. But keep this in mind. Allie's parents are building a gazebo in their backyard and there's construction workers in her yard every day. So then the girls go into the barn, but Melissa, Spencer's older sister, who has the barn, is there with her boyfriend Ian. And Spencer's like, Melissa, I'm supposed to do the barn tonight. Just punched my water bottle. But she's like, Melissa, I'm supposed to have the barn tonight. And then Melissa's like, ew, dark. And then Allie basically like dazzles and convinces Melissa's boyfriend to be like, oh, let the kids have the barn. So then Melissa and her boyfriend leave and Allie gets them the barn and the sleepover starts. Then Allie makes a fat joke about Hannah immediately when she mentions her crush Sean. Hannah at this time is about 12 years old and is a little bit bigger than the other girls, and she's extremely conscious of that. And there's always like remarks being made about her jeans being too small for her, or of her sucking in her stomach, or of her like eating all the food when they gather. Like, it's an uncomfortable topic for her and it makes her insecure. She mentions that Sean, the boy that she has a crush on, is super gorgeous. And then Allie says, you know what Sean told me he really loves? Hannah's like, what does he really love? And then Allie's like, a girl with a really good appetite. And then Hannah's like, really? And then Allie's like, no. So immediately Allie's making a fat joke about Hannah. Then Allie proceeds to make a homophobic remark about Emily. Basically, anytime Emily mentions anything about girls or about being in the locker room or anything like that, Ali will make a little quip and be like, I think you like it a little too much, Em. And then Emily will become really quiet and her mood gets ruined. So something has happened between them, and Ali is holding something over Emily, and she's just being mean to Hannah because she's fat. That's basically it. And then Ali asks the girls, why don't you let me hypnotize you? And the girls are like, okay. And then Ali makes fun of Arya for having a big stuffed toy that she takes everywhere with her called Big Junior. And she's like, you're such a baby, you carry a stuffed toy with you everywhere. And Arya's mood is spoiled then. So all these three girls have just had remarks made to them. A homophobic remark, the big puppet, and then a fatphobic remark. The girls have all noticed this pattern where Ali will make a personal remark about one of the other girls, and then the other girl becomes really upset, and then the rest of the group is just confused about what happened. So the girls don't know each other's secrets, but Ali knows something about all of them that she's always holding over them and using to like keep them in check, I guess. But so the girls love Ali and they love being friends with her, and they love how how she makes them cool and everything. But they also hate how bossy Ali is. They were often forced to do things that they didn't want to do by Ali. Like there's a few times where like she decides like, let's all take off our clothes and streak through a cornfield, and none of them wanted to do that. But because Ali said so and because they want her to be their friend, they have to do it. So there's a lot of like weird dynamics in the group. And it specifically says that the girls felt like they were Ali's dolls and just doing what she wanted them to do and being the friend group that she wanted to have. So that's kind of the vibe between them right now. And then Ali starts hypnotizing them. She turns off all the lights in the room. She lights candles. And then she starts like counting from like 100 back down. And Spencer is like, wait, I want to stop. It's too dark in here. Let's open the curtain. She gets scared or something. She's like, let's stop. Then Spencer and Ali have a fight where Ali's like, no, let's keep going. And Spencer's like, no, I don't want to do this. You can't make me. And then Spencer tells Ali, you need to leave, because Ali keeps getting angry. And then Ali's like, fine. And then she walks out. And then obviously, because they're so terrified of losing the status that Ali brings them and losing her as a friend, that Spencer goes after her and is like, Ali, wait, let's talk about this. The other girls, by this time, have fallen asleep from the hypnosis. I'm not really sure about this because I think in a later book they mentioned that Ali gave them a sleeping pill, which is what made them all sleepy, and it didn't work on Spencer. But in this first book, they don't drink anything. They just literally enter the barn, they sit down, they start the hypnosis. So I don't know, but Arya, Emily, and Hannah are all like passed out. They wake up, they're like, where's Spencer, where's Ali? They don't know that they had a fight. Like 2 seconds later, Spencer comes back and is like, I don't know where Ali went. Next day, Ali's still missing. So at first the girls think that she must have just met up with some of her older friends, and they cover for her a little bit, and they tell her mom like, oh no, she's with me. But then by evening, the police is called, and Ali's mom, Mrs. De Laurentiis, is hysterical. The girls are all interviewed, and they all discuss these four, because she's out of the picture right now, but these four all discuss, oh, did the police talk to you too? Did you tell them about the Jenna thing? And they all agree collectively to not mention the Jenna thing to the police. And eventually, with Ali gone, there's nothing really holding the girls together, because they were all close with her but not necessarily with each other, and they all fall out of touch. With Ali gone, all of them individually start to feel a little relieved, because Ali being dead or missing means that their secrets and what she had on them was gone as well. So that's kind of the prologue of the book, is the end of 7th grade sleepover. That's the night Ali disappears, and no one knows anything about it. No one hears anything from anyone for 3 years. The book actually picks up 3 years later, summer before 11th grade. They're all entering the 11th grade. Ali's family have moved away to a different town, and another family has bought their house called the Saint Germains. Emily is our first character that we're introduced to in the present. She's now a state champion swimmer. She's a good student, and her mom gives her a welcome basket and is like, go give this to the new family who've moved into Ali's house. So Emily drives over to Ali's house, and Emily grieves Ali the most because she was extremely loyal to her and attached to her, and she really misses having another close friend like Ali. Emily has some friends from swimming, but not really like a best friend, so she really misses having like a bestie. Emily meets Maya Saint Germain, who's the daughter of the new family who's moving into Allison's house, and she's like, oh, like, we're going to the same school. So in this universe, they go to a private school called Rosewood Day Prep, and Maya, the new girl, is going to the same school that Emily goes to. Emily goes on a scholarship. Emily and Maya talk about like their boyfriends and the town and going to the same school, and then Maya smokes weed in front of Emily. And Emily's like trying really hard to be cool about it because she likes Maya and she really wants a new friend. And we find out that Spencer, who lives next door to Allison, is an absolute overachiever. Like, she's even more academic and I guess type A than she was before. Hannah is now the it girl of the school, and she and her friend Mona kind of like rule the school. They have the best clothes, they have the best parties, they know everyone, they're popular, all that. And Arya's family are coming back from Iceland, and then we shift perspective from Emily to Miss Arya. Arya's family are driving home from the airport. Arya, her parents, and her brother moved to Iceland because her father took a sudden sabbatical there and was working on a documentary or something. There's another weird like loophole in this. In the family's conversation, they talk about being away for 2 years, but if they disappeared when Arya was in 8th grade and she's about to start 11th grade now, they would have been gone for 3 full years. But then later on, Arya's mom mentions being gone for 3 years, so I think they were gone for 3 years. So for 3 years, Arya's been out of the US, she's been in Iceland, she traveled all over Europe, she met interesting people, she really thrived. And she's super artsy, basically. So she fit in Europe, but she doesn't fit in Rosewood. So she's not happy to be coming back, but her family's moving back home. So they move back home and they unpack and everything. And then Arya's like, I need to get a drink, because she's like really stressed out about going to school in a few days in Rosewood again. So she goes to a college bar near Hollis, which is a liberal arts school in Rosewood. Oh yeah, also Arya's dad is a professor at Hollis. So her dad works there and she goes to a college bar in the Hollis area. And she's just sitting there having a drink, and then she meets Ezra. Ezra is this guy who's like sitting across the bar, and they flirt a little bit, and then they talk about Europe, and she tells him that she's been away. He assumes that she's been on an exchange semester as a college student. She doesn't say, no, I'm a high school student. She's kind of like, yeah, I study English. So he thinks she's in college, and he's recently graduated and about to start his first job. And then they instantly click. Miss Hannah is at the King James Mall with her best friend Mona. Mona and Hannah became friends after they both got rejected from the cheerleading squad after Allison disappeared, and they both made a pact together that next year they would be healthy and fit and they would make the squad. But by next year they realized that cheerleaders are so lame, and instead they're now just like the mean girls, the cool girls kind of. And this is the same Mona from the first scene, the one who they said no to hanging out with. They glowed up together, they're extremely close. But Mona doesn't know that Hannah struggles with an eating disorder. This is important. And Hannah's biggest desire is that Ali could have seen what she looks like now, and she could have seen her makeover, because Ali often made comments about her weight and her appearance and about boys not liking Hannah. So Hannah just wishes that Ali could see how beautiful and how perfect she is now. Hannah and Mona go shoplifting at Tiffany & Co. And I don't know how this is possible, because in Paris when I went to Tiffany & Co, there was a person with you all the time, and they literally hand you a piece and stare at you until you give it back to them. So I don't know how this is happening, but they're at the local mall. They go to Tiffany & Co. Hannah steals a bracelet and a pair of earrings, and Mona steals, I think, also a bracelet or something. And yeah, they shoplift. That's what they're up to. So that's kind of Hannah's hobby right now. Then Spencer is having dinner with her parents, meeting Melissa's new boyfriend, Ren. Ren is a white guy in the show, but in the books he's half Korean and he's British. Spencer likes Ren and they kind of talk a little bit, so she's like, okay, at least I have someone to talk to while Melissa's dating him. Spencer was promised that in her junior and senior year she could live in the barn on her family's property, and she's been having a lot of fun connecting with her mom about updating it, buying new furniture for it. She's found a way to spend time with her busy parents because her parents are helping her move in, and she's super excited about the independence of living alone, basically. But then Melissa at the dinner is like, oh, like my townhouse in Philadelphia is getting renovated, so I need a place to stay. And Ren and I are a couple, so he has to live with me, so I think it would make more sense if we take the barn. And Spencer's parents favor Melissa a lot because she's smarter, and in Spencer's family that's currency for affection, which is really messed up, but it's true. So they tell Melissa, of course you can live in the barn, Spencer will just be in her room until your house is ready. So then Spencer's pissed off, obviously, with Melissa, and then Spencer goes out and starts remembering that she and Melissa actually have a big secret between them. And the secret that Ali had over Spencer was that Melissa had a high school boyfriend named Ian who was in the barn with her on the night of the sleepover. And we find out that he actually kissed Spencer when he was at least 16, 17, and she was 12, 13. You stay away from her. He kissed her. Melissa has no idea. Ali knew about it, and she was always threatening Spencer that I'm gonna tell Melissa if you don't do this. I'll tell Melissa about Ian if you don't do this. And eventually, in a few days, the girls start school. Rosewood Day is a much fancier school in the books than it is in the show. They have a great campus. Like, they have like this glass roof swimming pool, and it's super high pressure, and they have uniforms and everything. The first A text of the series goes to Arya. She is sitting in her English class, and they have a new teacher. And the teacher is like writing on the blackboard. He turns around and it's Ezra from the bar. Immediately when she realizes that Ezra, from the guy from the bar who she made out with, is her new teacher, who's 23 and she's about 15 or 16. You stay away from her. I need to calm down. As soon as she realizes this, she gets an A text saying, surprise, I wonder what your big puppet will have to say about this. Which is interesting because the only people who knew about Petunia are her besties, her ex-besties, these 4 girls. How could anyone know about her and Ezra? Nobody else was at that bar. So, interesting. While this is happening and school's kind of starting, Emily is becoming very close with Maya. She starts to catch feelings for her. She starts staring at her a little bit. Because Emily's on the swim team, she opens her locker one day and she finds a note saying, I've been replaced. You found another friend to kiss. Signed A. So this is the second A note. And this one, Emily immediately thinks is from Allison. While Arya's note was a kind of ambiguous secret, I've been replaced, you found another friend to kiss, alludes to the fact that at one point, Emily and Allison had kissed. And Allison's kind of taunting her about it. And that also explains why Allison keeps making homophobic jokes toward Emily, because I guess Emily kissed her. Ian, Melissa's old high school boyfriend, who's now finished with college, is back in Rosewood, and he's the coach of Spencer's hockey team. Spencer's like having all these flashbacks about how he kissed her and he's still flirting with her. And then she goes home and she's like, I just need to get my mind off this. Melissa doesn't know. She'll never know. She has a new boyfriend now. She goes to sit in the hot tub. And who comes to sit in the hot tub but Ren? And then Spencer's like, ooh, my back is so sore. I've been playing field hockey. And I'm like, that's a grown man. Age gap relationships make me really like upset. This grown man gets in a hot tub alone with a teenage girl. And then he's like, oh gee, babes, we can't have that. Do you want me to give you a massage? And Spencer's a dumb kid. She sees a hot guy. She's like, oh my god, he wants to massage me? Sure. His girlfriend's sister in their family house, where she could see them at any time, is like, you've got fluid in your bursa sac. He's massaging her. She has fluid in her bursa sac. That's disgusting. Don't say bursa sac to a minor. Keep that in mind. That's disgusting. That's disgusting, babes. Immediately after this happens, Spencer gets an A message about how she always wants to steal her sister's boyfriends, because there was Ian and now there's Ren. Spencer's like, shit, someone saw us. She was on the alert. She was like, who saw? You remember Sean, who Hannah had a huge crush on in 7th grade? Well, now that she's the cool, pretty, hot girl, she's dating Sean. She lives with her mom alone. They're not super close. Her mom's away on work a lot. And she wants to take Sean and her relationship to the next level, if you know what I mean. But he has taken a virginity pledge. And he's like, I want to wait until marriage. Also, Hannah has a dog named Dot in the books. I can't really imagine her with a dog, but sure, she has a dog. She loves her dog. The dog is sweet. She really cares about him. Hannah's dad had left her mom a few years ago to be with a woman called Isabel, who has a daughter named Kate. Hannah keeps alluding to the first time that she met Kate, her kind of stepsister. She brought Ali for comfort, and the meeting didn't go well and triggered her eating disorder. And she keeps alluding to like this horrible meeting and Ali knowing what went down at this meeting. We don't really know what happens yet, but I've read ahead, so I know what happens. So basically, Ali and Hannah go together. Hannah's like, I'm going to meet this like girl. What if she's really pretty and cute? Hannah really ties value to appearance. So when she wasn't like conventionally beautiful, she was like, if my dad's new daughter is pretty, then he'll like her more than me. So she brings Allison to be like, I'll bring my cute friend, so she knows at least I have a cute friend. She brings Ali for comfort because Ali's brave and witty, and she's like gonna charm her, make fun of her. And Ali tells her, don't even worry, this girl is nothing, like we're gonna have so much fun. So Hannah's feeling better. She takes Ali with her. They meet Kate and Isabel, and Kate is beautiful, thin, she's like a ballerina, and Hannah's immediately insecure about her appearance around Kate. And then when she gets insecure, it triggers these feelings in her and she overeats, and then obviously she doesn't feel good, so she's kind of sitting back and her tummy hurts. And her dad makes a remark that like, oh, did my little piggy eat too much? And that's really upsetting to her, obviously. And then she goes into the bathroom and she starts crying, and Ali goes to her and kind of knows that Hannah made herself throw up. So that's the secret that Ali had over Hannah, this whole first meeting, and how it triggered her ED. That is kind of what triggers Hannah's recurring fear of losing her beauty and status. Like, she's always examining her skin to see if it's still beautiful. She's always examining to see if her clothes still fit her, all that stuff. Hannah comes home from a shoplifting trip and a cop is at her door. The cop is a ex-party boy from her high school named Wilden, who graduated with Melissa and Ian a few years ago. And he's a new cop. He's like all straight-laced now, and he's like, we have you on security camera footage shoplifting. So they take her down to the station, and Hannah sees that Mona's not there. So Mona wasn't caught for shoplifting, only she was. And she gets an A text about how prison food makes you fat. So Hannah's at the station with her mom. So while that's happening, we've realized that what Ali had over Arya and Ali are at a record store in Hollis one time. This is a few years ago. And they're leaving and they see Arya's dad's car. So they go to leave a note on the car to be like, haha, we saw you. So they're approaching the car to leave a note, and they realize that Arya's dad is in the car. And he's in the car with someone. And he's in the car with one of his grad students, and they're being intimate. Arya and Ali obviously run away. And Ali's really nice to her at first. She hugs her. She's like, it's gonna be okay. But then she starts kind of pushing her, being like, you have to tell your mom or I will. And Arya's like, I can't do that. Arya has a conversation with her dad about it, and her dad says, I know what you saw, but I love your mom a lot, and it will never happen again. Please keep the secret from me. So then obviously Arya feels like she has to listen to her dad over Ali. So Ali keeps pressuring her and keeps holding this kind of over her, but Arya can't tell her mom because her dad told her not to. And then this is a big factor in why Arya's family went on the sabbatical. And on the sabbatical, her parents were able to reconnect and fall back in love. But now that they're back in the US, Arya's really worried that they're going to start drifting again, that Byron will go back to, Byron is her dad, that her dad will go back to his student. Arya's at school and she goes to see Ezra in private, and Ezra tells her that this relationship is really dangerous. This is my first job. We have to stop. Emily skips swim practice for the first time to go hang out with Maya, and they go swimming in like a creek near where they live. She's feeling like a bad girl. She's feeling like she's doing some bad things. Nobody has ever made this dynamic of a step up before. To swim in a creek instead of swimming in a pool. She was a trailblazer. There's also some slight tension between Hannah and her new bestie Mona in their friendship, because Mona was a victim of Allison's bullying and she was excluded and belittled and made fun of for years. So whenever Hannah brings up Allison or her old friends, it's kind of a sore spot between them. They don't really talk about it because it was so painful for Mona. Miss Spencer here gets near perfect, like I think 1350 out of 1400 or something like that. She gets that score on her PSATs and she's really excited. She goes tell her parents, and the parents, because they reward academic achievement with affection, are like, you know what? Melissa can live in her old bedroom with Ren. You can move into the barn as a reward. So Spencer's obviously like, ooh. Spencer is suspecting that her academic rival from school, Andrew, is behind the note about her and Ren. She's like, he was probably driving past, he saw us in the hot tub, and he sent me a note because he wants me to like falter and not perform academically. So she's like, it's just Andrew. I don't need to worry about him. Spencer's not worried about Andrew because whatever Ali knew about her is so much worse that she's like, Andrew's not a threat. Emily and her boyfriend Ben are growing distant the more time she spends with Maya. She doesn't really want to be around him. Arya, now that Ezra has told her that they should not be together, is making a conscious effort to be closer to the most popular boy at school, Noel, who seems to like her. So she doesn't really feel the same way about him. She's kind of playing into him liking her and flirting with him in front of Ezra to make him jealous. Emily asks her mom to quit swim, and her mom panics and is like, this is all because of your new friend Maya. And Emily's like, no, it's not. I just don't really love swimming. And then her mom is like, Yes, it is, because those people, you don't know what they're up to. And she's like, what kind of people? And that's how Emily realizes that her mom is a racist, because Maya and her family are black. Spencer's got those field hockey injuries. I don't know why I'm speaking a British accent. Ven's a British one. But Spencer has like a sore back from field hockey again. And she's in her like parents' bathroom putting like icy hot on it, whatever that is. I'm assuming it's like Volini. Ren walks in on her accidentally and is like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just looking for a towel. And she's like, oh, it's okay. I just have an injury. I'm just trying to put some icy hot on it. And he's like, do you need some help, babes? She's like, yeah. So she takes her pants off because that's so important for a lower back injury. And he helps her put on the balm. And she's like, ooh, I like him. But it's forbidden because Melissa suddenly is like, honey. And then Ren's like, yes, babe. And he goes down and they're like, let's never talk about this again. So they have this like close moment, but then they're like, let's never do that again. Emily's still having this whole thing where she's like, I want to quit swimming. I want to quit swimming. Emily's parents and her boyfriend Ben together tell her that you're just confused. You don't want to quit swimming. You just need to refocus and you need to stop skipping swim practice and everything. So Emily's like, okay, whatever. And then Noel Khan, who's the boy Arya's been flirting with, the most popular boy at school, is like even richer than Spencer. So he throws this like annual back to school party with his brothers. So everyone's going to Noel's back to school party except Spencer. Spencer's staying home. Spencer's staying home having unholy thoughts about Ren, her sister's boyfriend, who's 21 years old, at least. I think he's closer to 23 or 24 if he's in med school, but I don't know. Here's what goes on at Noel's party. Emily goes with Ben, but she ditches him to hang out with Maya. Emily and Maya are together. Ben's nowhere to be seen. She's ditched him. They go into a photo booth and they start making out. Ben opens the curtain and catches them, says a homophobic slur to them, throws beer on Emily. That's that. Hannah is like, tonight's the night that Sean and I are going to take you to the next level, which is a bit weird because he told her that he doesn't want to, but she kind of is like, I'm going to make you want to, which is disturbing. But she feels like if she doesn't, then she's going to lose him. So she takes him into the woods. She's like, let's do this. And Sean's like, no. And then he breaks up with her. Then she gets really drunk. Hannah steals his car, but gets in the car with Mona. They're driving drunk. They crash. And she and Mona just leave the car there and run away. Arya's at the party flirting with Noelle a little bit and he really seems to like her. But then Ezra texts her being like, are you at that party with Noelle? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, you're making me really jealous. And she's like, do you want to hang out? And he's like, yeah. So then she leaves the party to go be with Ezra. Spencer is at home in the barn studying for one of her 5 AP classes. Ren comes to visit her. And here we get a little more insight that on the fact that when Ian hooked up with Spencer, which is, by the way, she didn't go try to kiss him. He kissed her. She might have wanted to, or she might have had a little crush on him because he was the school older guy, but he was definitely the one in power here. And I think he knew that. So this is not her fault, but this happened. Ian kissed her in 7th grade and Ali threatened him with telling Melissa. And she gets reminded of that when she's hanging out alone with Ren at the barn. But Spencer is like, whatever. And she makes out with Ren. And they're in her closet, which has a window because this building is a barn. So it has windows everywhere. They're making out on the floor of the barn. And she gets up. She stands up. And who's looking at them through the window? Melissa. Babes. The next day after the party, Emily's like, oh my god, I made out with a girl. Ben saw. He could tell everyone. This could ruin my life. I need to go on a bike ride. She goes to her bicycle. There's something in the wheel. She takes it out. It's a note. The note is the letter that she wrote to Allison. Now, Emily and Allison had shared a kiss a few days before the 7th grade sleepover. And after this kiss, Emily obviously feels really strongly about Allison, so she writes her a letter professing her feelings after the kiss, and she just says, this is how I feel. She writes this letter, she gives it to Ali. She finds that same exact letter in her handwriting on that piece of paper on her bike's wheel, and it's signed by A. That's Emily's biggest secret, is that she liked Allison as more than friends. Police obviously find the crashed car and are able to track it down to Hannah having stolen the car because she's on security camera footage. And then They take her down to the station again, and Hannah's mom just tells her, don't say anything, don't admit to anything, I will take care of this. So she doesn't get really any consequences for that, but it will come up later. Spencer obviously hides out in the barn all night after Melissa catches her with Ren. The next day when she goes into the main house, she sees that her family is disgusted with her. They're so mad at her. Melissa's like not even speaking to her. Her parents are both extremely disappointed, and they're like, you are going to move out of the barn, and Ren's gone. Obviously, Melissa and Ren broke up after that. Ren's gone. You're gonna move out of the barn, and Melissa's gonna stay there. You can have your old bedroom. And I just think it's really weird that they decided to punish her for this, even though she's a child and that is a grown man. But okay. So while Spencer's kind of like, oh, I can't live in the barn, and Emily's kind of like, oh, I kissed a girl and A knows, and Hannah's like, oh, I crashed a car. What the hell? And Arya's like, oh my god, my dad's affair. Her secrets are so low stakes compared to the rest, but let's talk about that another time. Suddenly, Allison's body is found under a construction slab in her old backyard. So the Saint Germains have a older son, Maya's older brother. So they wanted to, and he's a tennis prodigy, so they wanted to put in a tennis court in their backyard. But there was obviously the gazebo that Ali's parents had built, so they demolished it to make space for the tennis court. And while they're constructing the tennis court, they find a body. And because it's been buried in the dirt, it's obviously mostly decayed. But there was a little ring on Allison's pinky that had an A on it. So her mom sees that ring and is like, that's Allison, and identifies the body. Then Arya goes to see Ezra when the body is found. She's like, I need some comfort. But last time she was at his house, the night of Noel's party, she accidentally left her phone there. And he sees the A text she's been getting. And he thinks that she told people about them. And she's like, no, I didn't tell anyone. You don't understand. I'm being threatened. But he's like, you need to leave. So she gets mad at him. She bites his hand and runs away. And then Hannah goes home after finding out that the body's been discovered and sees her mom and Wilden being intimate. So when her mom says that I'm taking care of it, that's what her mom was insinuating, is that she and Wilden are having a romantic relationship, which is what's keeping Hannah's criminal activity off her record. Then the girls all kind of reunite at Ali's funeral. Haven't really spoken to each other. Like, Spencer didn't even know that Arya was back from Iceland. So then Ali's mom sees them all. It's like, girls, please, Ali would have wanted you like in the front row. So they're like, of course, our bestie is gone. They're all really sad. So they're sitting together and they suddenly are like, have you been getting weird texts too? And they're like, yes. So they all realize that they're all getting A texts. And then as they leave the funeral, they're all feeling a bit better because they're like, at least we've all reconnected even though Allison's gone. And they come out and Jenna and Toby Kavanaugh are outside. They have both returned from their respective boarding schools to attend the funeral. So they're standing outside. And as soon as they see them, all four girls at once get a text that says, I'm still here and I know everything. Signed, A. And that's the first book. I know you want to kiss me. Welcome back to book 2, Flawless. Now, the setup has changed, and this is because I feel like when I was in my room, the portraits were too far away from the wall and you wouldn't maybe be able to tell the girls apart so much. So I thought I would sit here in my living room, and here's a quick reintroduction to who's who. That's Emily, the swimmer. That's Arya, the writer. That's Allison, the psychopath. That's Spencer, the overachiever. And that's Hannah, the shoplifter. Book 2 of the PLL saga, Miss Flawless, takes place directly after book 1. And I will just preface this by saying that not a lot of new stuff is revealed. I feel like book 2 and book 1 are so close together, like they happen like within the same month, in the fall semester of the girls' 11th grade year, that they could be just one book. But PLL has arcs, so book 1 to 4 is kind of one arc, so that's why they're very close together, the storylines. All right, so at the start of Miss Flawless, we have a flashback back to 6th grade. 6th grade was kind of the peak of the girls' friendship before they kind of started to get some tension and grow distant in 7th grade. So this is like in their heyday of the friend group. They're like 11, 12 years old, and they're having a sleepover, and they're at either Spencer or Ali's house, and they're all swapping clothes and trying on outfits and like giving each other makeovers and stuff, like very typical tween girl behavior. And then Allie suddenly sees a face at the window, and it's Toby. And she's like, oh my god, that's Toby. And all the girls look and they all see him, and he kind of just like smirks and runs away. And they're all obviously super creeped out because they were changing clothes and he was obviously watching them. Now, Toby is a kid from the same town who's a year older than them, and he's major creep vibes. Like, nobody talks to him, everyone avoids him. He only talks to his stepsister, Jenna. Jenna is pretty, but she's been labeled a dork by Allison, so Allison bullies Jenna as well, and the girls join in by default by being bystanders. So that's kind of Toby's story, and Toby's like major weirdo, major creep. The girls are all freaked out. Jenna is their age and Toby is 1 year older. Jenna's mom married Toby's dad, I think, is the story. So then Allie wants to get revenge on Toby. She's like, he can't do that to us. So she's like, okay, I have a plan. I'm going to light a firework and throw it into his treehouse. So he has a treehouse built into the tree that's like right next to his house, and he's up there all the time, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's like a creep, he has this weird treehouse. So the girls are like, we're gonna light a firework and throw it in there to scare him. Now this is important. Everyone else is in the house looking out the window because Toby's house is across the street, and Allie alone goes up to Toby's house, looks into the treehouse window, lights a firework, and lobs it through the window. And the treehouse catches fire. When the treehouse catches fire, the girls realize that Jenna was in the treehouse, and the firework went off like right in front of her and blinded her. And she's carried out of the treehouse, and the girls are standing in the window watching all this happen. And they're all terrified, but then eventually Toby confesses to blinding Jenna, and he gets sent away to reform school. And Jenna also goes away to a school for the blind because she has to obviously adjust to this whole new lifestyle now that this has happened to her. The girls are obviously terrified that someone's going to find out, and they keep saying like, oh my god, like we should tell someone, we should tell the police. But Allison keeps telling them that this secret that they have experienced together will bond them forever, and gives each of the girls a friendship bracelet. Now, another detail about that night is revealed now that we know what the Jenna thing is. So when Allie was outside alone, after she set the treehouse on fire, she ran back into the house. But then when they see that the firework didn't just pop, it set the treehouse on fire, she went back outside and she's hiding in the bushes, and Spencer goes and joins her. So now Spencer and Allie are both outside. Hannah, Arya, and Emily are still in the house. Spencer and Allie are outside close to the house in some bushes watching what's happening, watching the police pull up, watching Jenna's and Toby's parents come out and see what's going on. And Toby comes right up to them and he tells Allison that I know that you did this and I'm going to tell my parents and the police right now. But Allison tells him that what I know about you is so much worse, so you're going to take the blame for this. So Spencer knows that Toby took the blame for the accident because Allie blackmailed him, but she hasn't told the other girls this at this point. So when Allie mentions that what she knows about him is so much worse that he can't tell on them about the accident, Toby gets visibly scared and runs away from them. Spencer asks Allie, what do you know about him that's so bad that you're sure that our secret's not going to come out? Allie then tells Spencer Toby's big secret, and then tells Spencer that if you tell the other girls Toby's secret and what I know about him, I will blame you for the accident and you will get caught for the whole thing. So Spencer's been kind of sworn to silence. So at this point, Toby had motive to kill Allie, and Spencer knows this because she knows that she had this huge secret on him, and she was the reason he got sent away to reform school and everything. So Toby could have been the one who killed Allie, but he can't have been A because the stuff that A knew, only Allie knew. And the girls can't tell the cops any of this because they're responsible for blinding Jenna, and Toby knows that. That's the status of the Jenna thing at this point. Now remember how in book 1, Hannah got drunk and drove her boyfriend's car and wrapped it around a tree or a telephone pole or something? So now her mom has worked out a deal with Sean's parents where she's going to work at Sean's dad's plastic surgery and burn recovery center to kind of pay off the car. So she's volunteering there basically to make up for what she did to the car. Arya and Mike go to a bar after Allie's funeral, and Arya just doesn't want to be home because her parents are being super tense. So she just asks Mike, let's go to a bar. So they go to one of the college bars, which I don't really know how you can be 16 and get away with going to a bar in a country where drinking is 21 plus, but okay. They're over there, and then they see Byron, their dad, meeting Meredith, the woman that he's having an affair with, at the bar. So Mike now knows about the affair, and Arya knows that her dad is seeing that woman again. So they both see this, and obviously they just run out of the bar. Spencer's older sister Melissa is back with her high school boyfriend Ian after Spencer slept with her current most recent boyfriend and they broke up. She's back with her old high school boyfriend, who also kissed Spencer when she was about 13 and he was about 17. So yeah, obviously Spencer's sister doesn't know that her current boyfriend also kissed Melissa. She just knows that her ex-boyfriend Ren also hooked up with Spencer. Hannah is going to the clinic to do her little community service slay. She's Nurse Barbie. And then she runs into her bestie, Mona. Mona's coming out of the clinic and Hannah's like, what are you doing here? And Mona doesn't know that Hannah's working. So Mona's like, oh, one of my mom's friends had a boob job. So I was coming to like see her. What are you doing here? And Hannah's like, oh, same thing. And they both kind of like mutually know that they're lying to each other, but neither of them wants to come clean. So they're kind of like, let's just forget we ever saw each other here. But that's important. Mona was at the burn recovery clinic. Now, Emily is dealing with a lot of conflicting feelings about her boyfriend, Ben. Well, now he's her ex because he caught her kissing a girl at the party, and her growing feelings for Maya, the girl that she kissed at Noel Khan's back to school party. So Emily's in the changing room at swim, and her ex-boyfriend Ben comes up to her and assaults her. And they're having a swim meet, so another school is over there. And suddenly, Toby Kavanaugh from the Jenna thing, Jenna's stepbrother, shows up and asks Ben, like, what the hell are you doing? And then Ben runs away and kind of leaves Emily alone. And Emily's a little shaken up, but she's like thankful, obviously, to Toby for helping her. After Arya and her brother saw her dad at the bar, Mike just kind of disappears and needs to be on his own. So Arya's driving home and her car stalls in the rain, and Sean, Hannah's ex, whose car she recently destroyed, is driving past in another car because they're rich like that, I guess. But he's driving past and he sees her and he's like, hey, do you need a lift? And she's like, okay. So he picks her up and they get to talking, and she starts to have a panic attack about what she just saw with her dad. And Sean kind of helps her through it, and she also tells him about the affair and everything that's going on in her life because she just needed someone to talk to so bad. And remember, the girls are not close with each other anymore, so she doesn't feel really like she can talk to them. And she had just seen her dad, so she just tells Sean all about it, and he listens and they like have a nice moment. Hannah is still on the I need to get my boyfriend back grind, so she attends a virginity club meeting, which is where Sean is going recently, and was part of the reason why they broke up, was that she wanted to take it to the next level and he was like, no, I want to wait. And so they disagreed on this and they broke up. But she's like, let me try to see things his way. So she goes to this meeting with him right after he spent the afternoon deep talks with Arya, okay? And she's just super determined to get him back. So she actually attends the meeting and actually listens to what they have to say. Emily is biking and she falls off her bike and gets hurt, and Toby drives her home. So this is now twice that Toby has saved her. I guess Toby is back. He finished reform school and is back at a nearby like private school. So that's why he was at the swim meet and why he's back in Rosewood. Spencer is now dating her sister's ex-boyfriend, who broke up with her sister because she hooked up with him. She's now properly dating that guy. And obviously her parents and sister don't know, but her family is super icing her out. Like, they've cut her off financially, they won't talk to her, they won't eat with her. She's like expecting them to take away her car next, so she also kind of like doesn't feel like she needs to do the right thing. So she just continues seeing Ren because he's kind of the only person that she has in her life right now who cares about her. She goes to see him in Philadelphia. When she gets home, Melissa and her parents are being a little nicer, and seems like they've taken some time to think about it, and they're like coming around to, you know, being a normal family again. So they're all like being nice to her, trying to be like accommodating and sweet and wanting things to go back to normal, which obviously makes her feel even worse about her relationship with Ren. Emily is feeling distant from Maya, not because anything really happened, but because she really can't confront how she feels about her. So she's kind of pushing Maya away and pushing herself toward Toby more, just to kind of tell herself that she likes boys, which is so sad. And she thinks she's developing a crush on Toby, and at their next swim meet he kisses her, and she also finds out that A has a copy of the pictures from the photo booth of her and Maya kissing. This is another weird plot hole because in the first book, when they're in the photo booth, the kiss happens after they take pictures. The pictures are innocent pictures of them just like smiling together as friends, and then they kiss. But in this book, there's a photo booth strip of them kissing, which A now has. And that's also weird because after the party where they did kiss in the photo booth, Maya took the pictures. It specifically says that in the book. Maya took the strip of pictures. So that's a bit of a weird plot hole. But basically, A has pictures of her and Maya kissing, which is kind of pushing her more toward Toby and to show everyone that she is straight. Hannah tells, so this is not super important, but it is kind of a little bit of an Easter egg. Hannah is obviously like the it girl at the school. She's trying to save face with everyone. So she's like, oh, I broke up with Sean. Like, he just was too lame for me. And Mona comes up to her and says, oh, I heard a rumor that Sean broke up with you. And she's like, who said that? Because Sean is a nice guy and he's being diplomatic and he's telling everyone that it was mutual. Hannah is trying to save face and saying, I dumped him. So how does Mona know that he was the one that broke up with her? Now, with Arya knowing about the affair, she notices that her parents are going distant again. A gives her a message saying that you have to tell your mom or make it go away, like make Meredith go away. Then after telling Arya to make Meredith go away, A gives her the details of a yoga class that Meredith teaches. Arya just goes there to kind of check her out, and she runs into Spencer at the yoga class. And she kind of for a second suspects Spencer of being A because Spencer would know about the yoga class and she would know that Meredith was the one teaching. But obviously Spencer doesn't know about her dad's affair. So Arya's wrong in this, but she's suspecting everyone right now. So Spencer is having a really difficult time balancing spending time with Ren while keeping it a secret from her family, spending time with her family and repairing their relationship after the betrayal, while also balancing all her extracurriculars and her high pressure school environment. And she has a submission that she just completely spaced on, but she realizes that Melissa had the same paper a few years ago. So she just takes Melissa's paper, puts her name on it, plagiarizes it, and sends it in as her own submission to get one thing off her to-do list. Arya is growing closer with Sean. They frequently have like hangouts and they're like talking a lot, and he talks about losing his mom at a young age and all that stuff. And Hannah, meanwhile, is attending V-Club meetings thinking that she's going to win him back and they're going to get back together. Sean asks Arya to Foxy. Foxy is like a fundraiser benefit dance that happens in Rosewood. It's like $250 a ticket and all the girls are going. Now, the finances of each girl are a bit different. Hannah and Spencer and Allie were the most well off, so these two obviously just bought their tickets. Arya is going because Sean bought her ticket, and Emily is going because as captain of the swim team, she gets free tickets. So that's kind of the circumstances under which everyone is going. Then Arya thinks about the message that A sent her to make Meredith go away, or her mom will find out about the affair. So she goes to see the woman that her dad's having an affair with, and she tells her, like, you're ruining my family, this has to stop. But the woman just says, I'm sorry, I understand, but I'm in love with him and I'm not gonna stop. Now the night of Foxy comes about. This is kind of the climax of the book. So at Foxy, Emily goes there with Toby because she's been hanging out with him and talking to him, spending time with him. And while she's there with him, she realizes that she doesn't feel the same way about him as she does about Maya. And she's kind of internally like having these conflicting feelings and obviously realizing this huge thing about herself that's going to change her life. So she's like super distracted and emotional. And she's just going to the bathroom, and Ben tries to force himself on her again at Foxy in like a dark hallway, and she knees him in the groin and he runs away. Hannah was going to go to Foxy, but she's not there because her dad called her. Now remember, her dad is kind of a big pain point for Hannah. Her dad left her and her mom a couple of years before the story is taking place to be with a woman named Isabel who has a daughter named Kate. So Isabel and Kate now have her dad in their life, and for 4 years Hannah's barely heard from him. He doesn't come to see her, he doesn't make an effort with her, and he's just completely immersed himself into being the perfect dad, but for Kate, but not for Hannah. So when he calls Hannah and tells her that, look, I want to spend time with you, I've booked us like a nice hotel room, we can go to a nice place and have dinner. So she's super excited. She's like, I can go to the spa and everything. Obviously she's like a 16-year-old girl, so she's super excited. And she's like, okay, I'll skip Foxy to be with my dad. As they're like about to go to dinner to the super fancy restaurant that Hannah has wanted to go to for years, she realizes that he brought Isabel and Kate with him. And she doesn't really get along with Kate and Isabel. So she's immediately like, oh. So her mood's a little off. While Hannah's at dinner with her dad and his new girlfriend and her daughter, she gets a message from A saying that she has to get to Foxy immediately because Sean is there with another girl. And obviously Hannah's on a mission to get him back, so she immediately is like, oh my god, I have to go, like, who is this girl? She goes to the bathroom and she's like thinking like, what should I do? And Kate, she comes into the bathroom and she's like, what happened? She's like, I just got a text that my ex-boyfriend is already at Foxy with some other girl and I need to go see who it is. And Kate's like, oh my god, girl, you need to go check this out. Like, I'll cover for you, don't worry about it. And then Hannah's like, really, are you sure? And then Kate sees that Hannah has some Percocets in her bag, which she stole from the clinic that she works at. Listen, I'm a Hannah defender. She's a little crazy. So she's volunteering at the clinic, so she stole a handful of like Percocet samples, and Kate sees and is like, oh my god, can I have one? Like, it's gonna help me survive being with your parents without you. And Hannah, remember, is distant from Mona right now and is distant from her other friends too. So she really doesn't have anyone to talk to. And she's also feeling really tumultuous about Sean, about her dad, about Isabel and Kate being there. So she's just happy to have someone to connect with. So she's like, okay, sure. She gives Kate the pill. And now Kate has a pill from Hannah and she's like, I'll cover for you. It will only take you like 30 minutes to take the train to Rosewood, check out what's happening and be back after we go to see a movie. So they have this plan between them. And Hannah leaves Philadelphia and comes back to Rosewood to attend Foxy. Now back at Foxy, Spencer and Andrew are there. Andrew is kind of Spencer's academic rival. They're always going in first and second with each other. So she asks him to Foxy to throw her parents off of the fact that she's dating Ren. So her parents are super happy. They're like, oh, she's dating someone her age. This is so good. But she's not though, is she? But Spencer shows up to Foxy with him. She calls Ren while she's there, and Ren is kind of pulling away and he's finding Spencer clingy. And Spencer is reaching out to him a lot at this time, but it's because her family is still like only just now coming around to her. They've been shunning her, literally. Her school is super stressful. She takes all AP subjects and all the A secrets also hang over her head. Remember, she knows something that the other girls have no idea about. So all of this is weighing on her. So she's reaching out to Ren, but he's pulling away a bit. So she's obviously a little upset about that. Arya arrives to Foxy with Sean and she has until midnight on Foxy to tell her mom about Meredith or make Meredith go away. Hannah shows up at Foxy and she sees Arya with her ex-boyfriend Sean, and she kind of runs into the bathroom crying, and then Mona consoles Hannah. Mona's her ex-bestie. They kind of reconnect and Mona tells her like, I don't want you to have more secrets from me, and Hannah's like, I understand. And then Spencer is going around gathering everyone and they're all looking for Emily. So Spencer has realized something, she needs to talk to the girls. Spencer finds Arya and Hannah and they're kind of awkward right now because she's like, why did you go out with my boyfriend? She's like, you broke up with him. So all this stuff is happening, but Spencer's like, you need to put that aside. We need to lock in right now. So these three are together. They're trying to find Emily. Emily's nowhere to be seen. All the girls discuss what they know and they think that Toby is A and they need to help Emily. And Spencer then reveals to Hannah and Arya that Toby knew that Ali was responsible for blinding Jenna and he kept quiet because Ali had something on him. Spencer knows the secret that Ali had on Toby, but she's too scared to tell the other girls right now. Emily and Toby have left Foxy. She's obviously kind of realizing that she's a lesbian, so she's having a really hard time. She's like, can we just leave? And he's like, sure. So they're leaving in the car and she tells him that she thinks that she might be gay and she's afraid of being made fun of because of that. And he kind of gets angry and he's like, you've never been on the receiving end of being made fun of. Didn't you and your friend Ali make fun of everyone else? Me and my sister, for example? He tells Emily that he knew about the firecracker and he knew what Ali did to Jenna and that he's glad that Ali is dead. So Em and all the girls now think that Toby definitely killed Allison because he had reason to want her dead. And Emily panics and jumps out of the car. Now, whether or not they think Toby's A is a bit dicey because Toby couldn't have known what they told Ali, but at this point they're like, it's one and the same thing. He killed Ali, he's A, and he has reason to want to torture us and he had reason to want to kill Ali. So Emily is driving out with him and she has this realization. He says, I'm glad Ali's dead. She opens the car door and just jumps out and just starts running, just hoping to reach home. Hannah wants to help find Emily, but obviously her dad's waiting for her in Philadelphia, so she leaves Foxy. She's like, call me when Emily's safe, and she has to go back to her dad. When she reaches there, she finds out that Kate did not cover for her and told her dad that Hannah's taking a bunch of Percocets. Look, I have this one from her. And then her dad is obviously livid, and her mom has to come and pick her up, and he's like, I don't want to see you, you need to leave. So her mom comes and gets her. Emily has jumped out of the car, she runs all the way home, and Toby comes over and he's like, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, but she's locked herself in the house. She's like, stay away, you need to leave, I don't want to talk to you, because obviously she's terrified of him. Then finally, as Toby's banging on the door saying, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, Emily says, I know what you did to her. And Toby just gets this look on his face and he just runs away. So Emily's like, okay, confirmed, Toby killed Ali. So she's like, oh my god. She's just at home by herself waiting for her sister to come home. And Toby's run away at this point. The next day after Foxy, Spencer calls Ren, her boyfriend, who's finding her a bit clingy, and is like, I need to talk to you about what happened last night. And then he's like, I think we should break up. And she's like, why? And he's like, you're too young for me. And I'm like, you stay away from her. Spencer's like sitting in her room all upset because she just got broken up with over the phone. And her sister comes in and she's like, what happened? And she's like, Melissa, I didn't tell you, but I was seeing Ren and I think he's seeing someone else. He just broke up with me on the phone. And Melissa's like, you know why he was so short with you last night at Foxy? And Spencer's like, what, why? And Melissa's like, he was with me. So that's just kind of an insight into like how they kind of get even with each other, and their family relationship is super competitive and twisted. Melissa had a one-night stand with Ren, made him break up with Spencer, and has now broken up with him herself. So now so Melissa basically said, if I can't have him, neither of us can have him. And then there's news all around the town that a body has been found, but no one knows who it is that's been found, and the girls are all super worried that it's Emily. Arya's mom receives a letter. Arya wakes up the morning after Foxy. She goes down. Her mom's like dissociating in the kitchen. She's like, what's happening? And her mom's like, your father's having an affair and you knew. So she's like, Mom, like he told me not to tell you. Which honestly, I understand where her mom was coming from. But shouldn't you be like taking out this anger on the adult in the situation and not the child? I mean, obviously I would also resent someone for not telling me this, my own child especially. But her mom like is like really mad at her. And she's like, I can't look at you right now. You need to leave. So her mom shuts herself in her room, and Arya's panicking because she's like, my family's about to fall apart. And the girls all then go to Emily's house being like, oh my god, is Emily dead? And there's police cars and ambulances and reporters and everything there, and they're super worried until Emily walks out of the house and they're like, oh my god, she's fine. They find out that Toby's body was found in the woods early that morning and that he had overdosed. And he left a note which his sister Jenna came and delivered to the girls and said, the police gave me this note that he had with him, and there's parts in it for his parents, for Jenna, and for you, Emily. So he written to Emily in the note. The note just said that he couldn't live with what he'd done to Jenna. That's important because the girls all think he killed Ali, but he's like, I can't live with what I've done to Jenna. And then they're like, what does that mean? And then Spencer, who already knew, tells all the other girls that he was sexually assaulting Jenna for years as step-siblings, and he couldn't live with it anymore, and Ali knew about it. So on the night of the Jenna thing, when Toby came to Ali and told her that, I know you still have that firecracker, she told him that she knew that he was molesting Jenna and that she would tell his parents, which is why he kind of backed down and he never told anyone about the Jenna thing. Then Emily gets a text and it says, it's not over till I say it is. And that's how the book ends. So at this stage, at the end, the girls think that Toby is the one who killed Ali and that he's A. But the cops have already vetted him and cleared him as a suspect 3 years ago when the murder first happened. He has an alibi. They know where he was. It wasn't him, according to the cops. But the girls think it was him because she knew this huge secret about him. So that's kind of where the book ends. I feel like it's not a lot happened in this book. Most of the events take place on the night of Foxy. And it didn't need to be its own book, but at least it was quick to read, and I think things will pick up more in the next book, so maybe the girls will realize who A really is and maybe not.